If you're an EFT practitioner or you use EFT in your client sessions and you use the traditional setup statement, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, I want you to just say that out loud and then notice what happens in your own body when you do. Not whether you know the words or it's familiar, whether you believe them. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Completely, every single bit of you, today, right now, in this moment. Because it took me about 8 years to be able to say that and mean it genuinely doing this work. And yet, traditionally, we can have somebody sitting in front of us for their first EFT session or their 10th, even, and ask them to say exactly that. And I don't teach my practitioners to do that. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emma Starling and I train and certify practitioners in my own methodologies, trauma sensitive somatic EFT and the soul shift method. And one of the biggest differences in the way that I teach EFT specifically is the language that we use. I call it attunement language. And attunement language is much less interested in finding the perfect words and much more interested in meeting the person exactly where they are, because words matter to the nervous system. They carry the energy of how we're feeling. So if I say to somebody, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, and there's a part of them screaming, no, I don't want to argue with that part. I don't want to make it wrong. And I certainly don't want somebody repeating a statement that their whole system is rejecting while I'm supposed to be trying to create safety and they're just saying it to please me. So I softened the language. I take out the absolutes. I use what we call force-free language, language that leaves room. I wonder if, perhaps, maybe. Wouldn't it be amazing if, or a part of me, and so on. And it's not just the words. Tone matters. Your curiosity matters. The way you offer the words with the feeling and the empathy, it matters. There's a very different energy between telling somebody what they're going to feel and being curious about what might be possible for them. We're not telling the nervous system where it has to go. We're giving it somewhere it might be willing to go. And maybe it didn't realize that until this moment. And that can sound like a tiny difference. It isn't. Let me give you an example. Say I'm working with somebody who is holding a lot of anger, and we've identified it in the body, we're tapping, and a practitioner might be tempted to move towards, I'm letting this anger go. But what if they're not? What if the anger is a protection mechanism or it's preventing something else happening? What if their body isn't ready to let it go yet? What if that anger has been protecting them for 30 years? What if some part of them believes that letting go of the anger means that what happened was acceptable? I'm letting this anger go is an absolute. So I might say, part of me would really love to let some of this anger go. And then I might soften it again. Maybe I could let go of just a little bit of it. Or I wonder if my body would feel safe enough to release even 1% of this. 1%. We're not demanding a miraculous shift from the nervous system. We're asking what feels possible, right? And if 1% is all that person's nervous system wants to give me today, I'll take that because that's meeting the client where they're at, because that's us working together. There's another reason that I use parts language so much as well, because human beings are contradictory, aren't we? You can desperately want something and be terrified of it at the same time. You can want to forgive somebody and have another part of you that absolutely does not. You can want to let go of a belief while another part thinks that that belief is the only thing keeping you alive or safe. So instead of making somebody choose which one is true, we can make room for both. Part of me would really love to let this go. And there's another part of me that isn't ready yet. Good. Now we've got something real to work with because I would much rather work with what is genuinely happening inside of somebody than give their conscious mind a lovely sentence to repeat while the rest of their system is quietly disagreeing with me. And a big influence on how I developed this way of working was Patricia Carrington's choices method, which is a great way to, when the time is right, help to reframe the way somebody thinks about things. And I really love the idea of bringing choice and empowerment into EFT rather than imposing an outcome on somebody. And that became a really important part of how I developed my own use of attunement language, particularly as I started looking at everything through a trauma sensitive lens. Because choice matters to the nervous system, agency and sovereignty matters. But the language around that choice matters too. So rather than I choose to feel completely safe, I might soften it. I wonder if I could begin to feel a little safer. Or maybe a part of me could be open to the possibility that I feel safer now. Or even, I don't know if I can feel safe yet, but perhaps my body could show me what 1% safer feels like. Can you feel the difference? None of those statements are trying to convince the client of anything. And that's really important. We're not replacing one absolute statement with a slightly prettier one. We're creating possibility, choice, spaciousness, curiosity, and room for the nervous system to say no, because sometimes it will. And I want the no. I want the hesitation. I want the part of me doesn't believe that, or part of me isn't ready for that yet, because that's information and that helps me where to take the session next. That tells me where the person truly is, and that's where I want to meet them. This is why I call it attunement language, because I'm listening. I'm watching the person. I'm noticing their body, their face, the pauses when I say something that doesn't quite land, the way their eyes go up, the way they glaze over when they're saying something that really isn't what they feel. And if it doesn't land, I don't want them to agree with me. So I change the language because I'm not trying to get the client to fit the EFT. The EFT needs to meet the client. And sometimes the most attuned thing that you can say is, part of me doesn't believe a word of this. Part of me feels stupid even considering it. Fine, tap on that, because that's where they are. And the sooner you meet that, the faster everything else will start to fall away. So go and meet them there. And please don't take I wonder if and perhaps and maybe and part of me away from this video as another thing to just plug into a script, because then we've just created another problem. Attunement language is not a new set of magic words. It's not a list of phrases that you can learn so you can replace an old EFT script with a new one. It's an attitude towards the person sitting opposite you. Does that make sense? I'm not here to persuade your nervous system. I'm listening to it. That's the feeling they should get. I'm looking for what feels true enough for this person in this moment for their nervous system not to have to fight it. That might be 1%, it might be part of me, it might be perhaps, it might even be, I'm absolutely not ready to let this go. Fine, start there, because that's what's true. And the truth of how we feel gives us something to work with, and it gives us a path to follow. And that matters with a traditional setup statement, because I deeply and completely love and accept myself might be a beautiful destination for someone to want to get to. So I'm not against the sentiment. I'm just against assuming that they're already there. There's a massive difference in that. And if somebody genuinely does deeply and completely love and accept themselves, wonderful, use it. But if their body contracts when they say it, if they laugh because it feels ridiculous, if they immediately want to qualify it and explain, or if something in them just goes, absolutely not, I want to know that, because the body never lies. And that response is my information. So I'm not going to bulldoze over it with a more positive statement, because that's disrespectful. And really, it's not going to get you anywhere. So we get curious about it. That's the work. So if you're an EFT practitioner, if you use it in any sessions, if you use it for yourself, listen to your own language in the next time you do it. Notice the absolutes. I am, I will, I completely, I'm letting this go. And just notice if you create a little bit more room around it. Maybe, perhaps, I wonder if, part of me might, some of this, a little bit, even 1%, right here, right now. Because trauma sensitive language doesn't tell the nervous system what it should be feeling. It meets it where it is, and it gives it room to show us where it might be willing to go next. And that is a very different conversation. And in the next video, I want to talk about something else I see practitioners doing, and that is keep collecting techniques and certifications because they think they need another tool, when quite often they don't. What's missing is the architecture of the session itself, because knowing lots of techniques and knowing what to do and when to do it and why you're doing it, again, they're really different things. So that's what we're going to get into next. So if you're an EFT practitioner, therapist, coach, or other wellness practitioner, and this is the way you want to work, please subscribe and stay with me. I'm really glad that you were here today. I'll see you soon.